Let me just say quickly a few words of introduction, most of all, of course, to the 8 candidates who are here tonight, and who are, for those who in the audience who don't know, and if you'll raise your right hand when I say your name, people know who it is. We don't have a very good system for identifying people with these place cards. Sekou Biddle.
Here.
Joshua Lopez. Patrick Mara.
Hello.
Stanley Mays.
Good evening.
Benson Orange.
Good evening.
Alan Page.
Here, but not here.
Here, but not in the room. Okay. Jacques Patterson.
Good evening.
And Brian Weaver.
Here, present.
Just a few other mentions. First of all, I want to thank very much our videographers for being with us tonight. They were in the Middle East for the last couple of weeks and flew back tonight just to be with us to do this videography. So we're very appreciative that they could be here. Their names, incidentally, are Will Urquhart and Mitch Malasky, and they are affiliated with Sum of Change. The video will be, or is being live streamed so that people are able to watch it as we proceed. And it will be edited and up on online within a matter of days. So you'll be able to actually view the proceedings and okay, now let me just give you a few words of guidance about how we're going to proceed. On my left is David Alpert with Greater Washington, and David is going to be co-moderator tonight. And the way we're going to share the duties is that I will place all of the prepared questions to the candidates. David, at whatever point he feels so moved, will ask each of you follow-up questions. Now, we will try to do that in the fairest way possible so that everybody gets that extra added bit of attention. And it's not necessarily considered to be negative in any way. He may see a kernel of something in what you've just said in an answer and wants to see you expand it because it's an interesting idea. He may, on the other hand, think that you didn't answer the question and will try to get you to elaborate on what you said. The rules are these. You will have initially 2 minutes each for opening statements, and then we will begin the question and answer process, and you will have 1 minute to answer each question. When David asks a follow-up question, again, you'll have 1 minute to answer his follow-up question. There will not be any rebuttals, and we're not going to have closing statements. Time is tight. We're going to have to keep moving. So on my right, Hugh Broaddus, who's the Secretary of DC for Democracy, will be our timekeeper. And when he says time is up, that means time is up. If you're in the mid-sentence, if it's a reasonable sentence anyway, we'll let you finish that sentence. But otherwise, I will cut you off at that point. Okay, any questions from the candidates? If not, let's proceed with opening statements, and we'll begin in alphabetical order.
Where's time?
Is that working?
No, I'm just trying to see who's got the time so I can keep track of where I am. Good evening. My name is Sekou Biddle. I'm here this evening because I grew up in the District of Columbia. And the time I grew up in Columbia Heights, it was a very different city and a very different community. It was a hard time for people to start families and get started into homes. My parents started in a difficult neighborhood, raising a family, sending 2 children to school, and worked very hard to find great places for my sister and I to grow up and go to good schools. And we did, and we were successful in attending some of the best public schools this district had to offer at the time. And those schools propelled us on to great opportunities at college and career and beyond. And I found, because of the education experience I got growing in the District of Columbia, I committed myself to public education as the single best cause and lever to really improve the quality of life for any and all people. And I've spent the last 17 years of my career working in public education to make sure that any and all children have great opportunities for success through a strong academic background. You know, many, many years later, as I'm here working on this issue here in my hometown, in my neighborhood where I grew up, it's still difficult for many parents and many families. And I'm committed to the course of action that will lead us to a place where we have great schools in all of our communities, and that families are choosing all the schools we have to send their children knowing that they'll prepare them for success in life. But more importantly, in the area, people will look at the District of Columbia and our school system as a place in which they can move their children and their families to get a great education. I think that when we commit ourselves to that course of action, it can be accomplished, and that it requires of our city leadership and our council to have individuals with a record of service and a commitment to their community like I have. I've spent 17 years working in education directly as a classroom teacher, but then also working for various education nonprofits, serving on boards of organizations like the Rosemont Center. And I feel like it's important at this time in our council and our community to have individuals who've demonstrated a track record of success and commitment to their community and have actually done the work on a day-to-day basis. And I'm glad to be here to learn more and have you learn more about me. Thank you.
Thank you. Joshua? Yes. Hello.
Good evening. My name is Joshua Lopez. I'm a native Washingtonian, a proud graduate of the University of the District of Columbia. Just a quick bio of who I am. Went to public schools here, graduated from Maya Angelou Public Charter School. I'm a former ANC commissioner in my neighborhood, former vice chair for ANC 4D. Served as the vice president to the Ward 4 Democrats. I've been actively involved in my community for a number of years, running for a number of different reasons. I was happy with the progress that we made over the last few years, and I want to see that continue, particularly around education. I think now more than ever, you need someone who's going to continue the good fight, not cater to special interests, understands the issues well. Again, I went to schools here. Someone who's going to bring new ideas to the table, someone who will have an independent voice and won't rubber stamp the administration and the city council, and someone who will stand up for the working class here in the District of Columbia. I was raised by a single mother, working class. My mother immigrated here from Guatemala in the 70s and became a citizen in the 80s. So I understand the city very well. I understand the emerging immigrant population. I understand the population that's been here. It's been here through the tough times. And I understand the new population that's come into the city that's bringing new ideas. So now more than ever, we need a younger voice on the city council that can relate to folks, that will stand up and fight for people, will be a strong advocate, and will be honest with the voters of the District of Columbia. I think I'm the best choice for that. Thank you.
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank DC for Democracy, Greater Washington, and the DC Environmental Network for hosting this forum. I look forward to not only participating in this forum, but as many forums as I possibly can that do not conflict with State Board of Education meetings. A lot of people ask me one question, which I'm going to nip in the bud now. They say, why are you a Republican? And if you didn't already know, I'm a Republican. I grew up in Rhode Island. I spent my early years there. I spent all my adult life here. And it was in that process that I saw, growing up in Rhode Island, that I saw a very stagnant legislature, one-party system. I believe very, very strongly in a multi-party system. I saw a culture that bred corruption. I saw a lack of transparency, and I saw a lot of room for improvement. As you would imagine, I also consider myself, if you haven't heard before, to be fiscally responsible. I do believe in free markets, and I'm a pretty big supporter of education reform moving at the speed we saw in the last administration. Again, I very much look forward to this opportunity and future opportunities, and thanks.
Stanley Mays.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stanley Mays, and I am a candidate for this position. I want to talk to you a moment about something because I believe that I have a long track record in the city. I've served as a chairman of ANC 1B. I in fact led the redevelopment of the U Street corridor. The revitalization of that corridor has bred results for everyone across the city. The other things about me, at that time I was an ANC commissioner. I've served as chairman of the United Planning Organization, where I did something about homelessness, where I did something about job creation. I've served as the president of the Urban Forest Council, where we heavily involved ourselves over the years in green projects across the city, and have had an opportunity to get to know people across the city in schools, in parks, in playgrounds, and doing things for people across the city. In addition, I'm a Washingtonian, as many of us on this body are, and I graduated proudly from the DC Public Schools. I am someone who has served as a member of the Democratic Party, and I am proud to be a Democrat and look forward to continuing that effort as a member of the Democratic Party. There are many things about this seat that I want to bring, but I think that bringing some experience as a banker, as a financial expert, as well as a lawyer, and other activities serving people across the city, I look forward to the opportunity to discuss in much greater depth the kinds of experiences that I've had and the things that I've done for people from one end of the city, from, as I say, from Mississippi Avenue to Mount Pleasant.
Thank you, Stanley. Next, Vincent Orange.
Thank you and good evening. Good evening, DC Democracy, Greater Washington, Environmental Network, invited guests and candidates. My name is Vincent Bernard Orange, Sr., and I'm extremely honored to be here this evening. As I've indicated before, I believe this is the best setup for candidate forums, having gone through this one before. I'm here tonight because the city has a crisis. We have a fiscal responsibility crisis. We have a jobs crisis. We have a wage crisis. We have an education crisis. And we also have a statehood and voting rights crisis now with the new House that we have. The Republicans are in town to take away what little bit that we've had opportunity to gain. And I think now it's time to have somebody back on the council that has wisdom, that's going to stand up and be that independent voice. We need to right now start looking at Medicaid reimbursement. $347 million that we've lost. We need to also start looking at federal grants, monies that we have just lost. If you don't have your house together financially, then we cannot address these other causes adequately. We need to look at things such as tax-exempt bonds, that we exempt other states' bonds, but yet they tax our bonds. That'll generate $10 million. Along with that, we need to look at jobs and wages. We need to enforce the First Source program. We need to make sure that the Living Wage Act that I implemented in 2006 is finally enforced. And above all, we need to take advantage of DC Emancipation Day, get 1 million people down on Pennsylvania Avenue, get the parade back, and make Congress, make the world hear us. We need to demand our rights. And there's no one here that's at this table as a candidate that have addressed these issues, and I will continue to address those issues, because at the end of the day, one man with courage is a majority, one woman with courage is a majority, and we need the majority to stand up for the citizens of the District of Columbia. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan Page.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Alan Page. Good evening. Thank you to Greater Washington, the DC Environmental Network, and DC for Democracy for hosting this event. And thank you for all of you for coming out. It's very cold. I'm the DC Statehood Green Party candidate for the at-large city council position. And the reason why I'm running is, quite frankly, I'm a homeowner, and my daughter is a DCPS student, she's 7 years old. And I really believe that we're at a crossroads in our city. We're facing a $600 million budget shortfall for fiscal year 2012. And we're really at the point where we have to make some crucial decisions. I do not believe that we can balance a budget on the backs of the poor. And I have a plan to approach this issue in a way that will be equitable for all, so we can all share the pain and share the gain of a brighter tomorrow for our city. The key point that I want to push is I want a progressive tax system for our city. Currently, our top tax rate is 8.5%. So if you earn $41,000, you're in the same tax bracket as a Wizards player or a Redskins player. I think that's absolutely absurd. I think we need a new top tax bracket of 9.5% that will address income above $200,000. That will bring in the, 1/4 of the revenue that we need for closing the shortfall. A study that I read shows that it would bring in an additional $150 million per year to the district. That's money that we need to keep our job training programs going, to keep our child care from being further cut, and things of that nature. I see I have about 20 seconds left, so I will quickly say I thank you all for listening to me, and I know that was a mouthful. I wish I could have made it more entertaining and had a punchline added to it, but I do not. I have 12 seconds left. Thank you for your time. I'm Alan Page.
Thank you, Alan. Jacques Patterson.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jacques Patterson. I'm a proud resident of Ward 8, and I'm running because I believe I'm the only candidate that has the widest breadth of experience. For the last 15 years, I have served this city. First, beforehand arriving in this city, I was in the military, served 20 years in the military, and now I've served 15 years, the last 15 years, of actually working in every aspect across the city. I've served on the Housing Finance Agency board because affordable housing is important. We need to be able to keep our people here. I've served on the Historic Preservation Review Board because I believe that every neighborhood can be great, and that's important. I served on the Bicycle Advisory Council. A lot of the things that you're seeing implemented now, I was a part of that in the very beginning of putting that master plan together. So across the board, ANC for 8 years, chair of 8B. I have another commissioner who's sitting in the back that I worked with, who was my vice chair and my treasurer. We worked very hard in Ward 8. We were a ward that out of 77,000 people had no grocery store. Now we have a grocery store in our SMD. We also have the first sit-down restaurant, the first credit union that was put into Ward 8 because our residents were being victimized by a lot of the check cashing places. I've served this city across the board in housing, in basically preservation, anything that you can basically talk about. I've worked very hard for this city, and I look forward to serving as your at-large council member because you need a member that actually has the skill set, the experience to serve this city across the city and knows the city from east of the river to west of the park. So I look forward to answering any questions that anyone has about the experience that I have to serve this city and in this capacity as an at-large council member.
Thank you, Jacques. Brian Weaver.
Hello, my name is Brian Weaver. I am not a DC native. I am a 20-year resident. I probably represent the group of people here that have been here for 20 years and are worried about where we're going for the next 20 years. I'm a father of 2 small children here in the District of Columbia, attend school, husband of a South American immigrant. And I'm the person who is going to be here to tell you that politics is not about power. Politics is not about money. Politics is not about power games. It's about the improvement of people's lives. It's about lessening human suffering. It's about fighting for human rights and fighting for economic justice in this city. Now, unfortunately, what I've seen happen in the District of Columbia is over the last few years, we've seen a city council that has moved in the opposite direction, that doesn't live by that creed. A less transparent, a council that is controlled by well-heeled, well-placed money within this city. When we have the influence of developers and lobbyists who can give unlimited amounts of cash directly to campaigns, we shouldn't be shocked by the results that we see. So I'm the candidate that's going to be here, and I'm going to say that, unfortunately, what we need to move forward in this city is an independent, open, transparent form of government that lessens the contributions that come directly from developers. As we've seen what's gone on in Prince George's County, we need to move away from that form of government. And what we also need to do is open up our government to where we don't have secondary jobs for council members. And we have council members who are making, as according to the Pew Charitable Trust, the second highest city council salary in the country. We need to make sure that those folks are 100% on the job. So going away from this idea that we're having part-time councils, full-time staff, full-time council, and we're going to have a council that is representing all of the wards of the district and not just for the people who are well-heeled and well-connected.
Thank you very much.